Hi, welcome back to the Arcade Repair Tips video series. Today we're going to talk about swapping out Jamma boards. Well, one thing that we often recommend is that you keep an extra Jamma board around, like a Cherry Master or someone that you found cheap on eBay or something, just so you can test, because sometimes it's easy to, it'll help you rule out, is it my board or not? Well, let's say in this instance, this is a P47. And it's got a Jamma harness right here. When we're talking about swapping a Jamma board, really all you have to do is take off this harness by pulling it up, and you can plug in another board to test. Now, a couple things that we want to mention is, you see how these are keyed, or they have a slot right here. This is a Street Fighter 2 board, which we like to keep around for testing. And then here is a Tekken 2 board. As you can also see, there is the key, or that slot, which is pin 7 of your Jamma harness. Now on this one, harness right here, it has a white piece of plastic in there, which makes it real easy because you can't plug it in backwards. Not all of them have that piece of plastic, and you can actually plug in backwards. Well, what difference does that make? Well, what difference is, instead of sending 5 volts down here where it's supposed to go, you plug it in backwards, you're sending it down here where it may not need 5 volts at all, could actually damage your board or other parts of your game. So we got to make sure that we're plugging it in the exact same way it was plugged in, or that the right way that it's supposed to be plugged in. So before we test these, I like to keep a piece of cardboard or something. You can see I've done some painting and stuff on this one around, because if we want to do it a quick way, we can just cover up this board, because you don't want, once you plug this in, there's a lot of metal and little solder places on the back of this board. You don't want them touching these parts of this board. So we're going to put something in between, or I mean, if you just have the time, you can take this board all the way out, or some of your games may have some that you can slide and take it in and out. If you can remove that board before you test another board, by all means do so. Now, you can use a piece of cardboard or something to go in between, some bubble wrap, something that's not going to conduct electricity but will help you right here. So all I'm going to do is put my cardboard up there and find my keyed place and plug this right in. I'm going to keep that in between there so them two boards can't touch. Now I can turn my game on and test. If I wasn't getting anything with this board, but after plugging this board in, I'm getting a good picture and everything else is working fine, I know that the problem was with the board. If I plug in this Jamma board, and I know it works, I've tried it in another cabinet, but it doesn't work either, we know the problem is probably not with the board. It could be with the power supply or the monitor. Now always, before you turn it on, I would check the voltage coming off your power supply, make sure that it's right, because what you don't want to happen is, if something like your power supply damaged this board, you don't want to plug a working board in and then have it damage this board also. But we know the voltages here are good. We know that this board's not working, but we're going to turn this one on and see how it does. And that's one way that you can test a board, or swap out the boards. Or if you just want to change game and you had 2 working boards, you would just take this one off the wall, plug that, mount that one to the wall, and then plug it right in. Now, one last thing we're going to talk about is, though different games, most of them that are Jamma standard have this connector, some also have an additional connector or a kick harness. You notice this has the regular standard Jamma, like on this Tekken board, and then it has what's called a kick harness. The kick harness allows you for more buttons than just the standard Jamma. So you'll have button 4, 5, and 6, and that's where you get these, through this kick harness. So if you're trying to put a Tekken in a P47 that doesn't have that many buttons, even if you add some buttons, you're still going to need a kick harness to go to it. And the Street Fighter's kick harness actually is up here on this board. So they could be different for every game, but look for an additional place besides this when you're hooking up your other buttons. Anyway, I hope that that's helped you guys a little. Just a simple video on how to unplug. So we're talking about swapping Jamma boards or keeping a Jamma board around just for testing purposes, so when you're troubleshooting games, that'll help you at least take that out of the equation. Well, we hope you've learned something today. We appreciate you turning in and watching our videos. If you have any questions or comment, please call or email us. And again, we want to thank you for watching Arcade Repair Tips video series, now in high def.